Today, we are discussing rollovers for business startups, or ROBS. In short, ROBS will teach you how to use your retirement funds, tax-deferred, penalty, and debt-free. This innovative resource has become the fastest growing form of funding to help someone start, acquire, or grow a business. Two ROBS experts have created a series of comprehensive educational videos to help you become an educated and successful entrepreneur. The first, Larry Carnell, is the National Award-winning Entrepreneur of the Year, business and franchise expert, and Vice President of Benetrends Financial, the company that discovered this legal pathway in 1983. Carnell is recognized as one of the country's foremost ROBS experts and is credited with helping introduce this creative funding, wealth-building protection program. Joining Carnell is CPA Gary Bodie. Bodie holds a master's degree in accountancy and is considered a leading national expert on ROBS structures. He is also a business lecturer and contributing author on ROBS and C Corporation structures, which can help maximize your exit strategy benefits while minimizing your taxes. In addition, Bodie runs his own practice where he advises and works with entrepreneurs with ROBS-structured businesses across the United States. In light of a nationwide IRS alert memorandum, what are the IRS concerns?
Okay, with any business, there are IRS issues that you have to deal with. ROBS C Corporation is no different. You really have to run a squeaky clean set of books for ROBS, I believe, because the possibility of the IRS to rescind the original ROBS transaction would probably mean bankruptcy for most companies. And so the IRS is really concerned on a lot of different issues and that don't even concern directly ROBS. They really break down, they want you to break down your bookkeeping into very specific areas so they can better audit you. Right. And so one of the big things I think that I do is I do the long form of Schedule 1120, again, because the balance sheet, which that might be the only balance sheet that the client ever gets, and they don't get the benefit of using their accounting for managerial purposes, but also the balance sheet answers a lot of questions that the IRS might have. And then, of course, I look for red flags between there and put in additional notes and sometimes additional documentation with the Form 1120. The taxes, the big thing is to get rid of the double taxation as well. I think that may not be an IRS issue, but you don't really want, unless you're building up money within the firm for a specific project and it's at 15%, that might be one thing. But if you're going to be more than that, then you really want to get rid of that profit at the end of the year somehow. And typically at the beginning, that's done through a paycheck, and later on, probably more of a retirement benefit contribution. So those are the IRS issues that I deal with all the time. Of course, you know, people will ask, well, can I do this or that? And, you know, no, that's a step transaction. You have to really kind of interpret what that is for the client. And they need a lot of hand-holding, usually in the first year, to avoid IRS issues. But after that, they see things coming by and they get pretty proficient. But those are the things that I really kind of look for, would be to avoid double taxation, make sure that the C Corporation tax return is done properly, answer any legitimate or answer any possible audit flags that I see. What about you, Larry?
Well, keep in mind, you know, we helped introduce this program 35 years ago. For decades, there were zero problems. There was no concerns by the IRS. It wasn't until the introduction of simple cut and paste plans about, you know, less than 10 years ago that we started seeing these issues start to rise. So I think it's indicative that there may be some differentials. The key thing is become an educated consumer. Make sure you're fully investigating specifically what the services are provided, but more importantly, what the differentials are. People that don't do all the things that are needed are not going to tell you what things they don't offer. So it's important to talk to professionals, people that have a decade at least. It's ideally to have somebody that has decades of experience, that have done 10,000 or more of these plans, that know what they're doing, and more importantly, have the professionals to make sure that it's properly administered. And that's the big concern the IRS has. The big concern the IRS has at this point is not just setting these plans up, but most importantly, the operational compliance, to maintain the operation compliance, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. That's what gets people in trouble. If you fail to cross a T, you could retroactively, and we've had people come back with audits 8 years later. And if you have something that a mistake was made, it can retroactively go back 8 years plus penalties, interest charges. So I've always said it's always better to spend a little more than you could than less than you should. But make sure you're getting a competitive pay, but be very careful of anybody implying that they're doing it for less. There's often a reason why.
Okay.
So with that being said, our next video is going to be talking about ROBS. Is this just for franchises?
Okay.
Okay.